Namaste, this is Esnadi from Restore Your Life with number 2 of the new series that I'm bringing out at this moment in this exciting year of 2020, and this one is called Would You Tell the Truth? And so I'm going to bring this in a story form, and I really recommend for you to watch number 1, where I tell about the world, what is going on in the world, what is happening at the moment. So I invite you to watch number 1 first, and then this one. Enjoy. I'm going to bring it in a story, and to remind you to always take what resonates and leave all the rest behind. This is how I'm going to bring out my truth, and I'm going to share it in a story. Okay, in my story, I'm going to bring you to California. In that street in California, in a beautiful neighborhood, there's 2 couples living. One is Rose and Phoenix, and one is Martin and Julia. They live next to each other in a beautiful neighborhood. And Rose and Julia got to know each other a little bit as neighbors, and they start talking a little bit about life, things and happenings. And one day Julia is sharing with her neighbor that she's going to Africa. And Rose is like, wow, that's really amazing. Where are you going? What are you going to do? And then Julia is telling Rose that she's going to help the orphanage children and to bring many of them home to the United States, where they can have a foster parent and be adopted. And so Rose is really impressed, and Rose is like, wow, that is amazing what you're doing, and that's really wonderful. I wish you a lot of success. And it's really very noble of you to bring these children to new families and to have them up for adoption. And then Julia is smiling with a big smile, looking at Rose like, yeah, but you know what? It's also very exciting because the government supports this, and by child I get $10,000 to bring every one child I bring. And so it's really good business. Rose was really like, wow, this side of Julia, she'd never seen it before, and wow, there was something fishy about this story, and she didn't know how to react with it. And she said, I wish you a good trip to Africa. And so she left for Africa, and Rose, she just had to digest what her neighbor was telling her. And so she was one day cleaning the side windows of the house, and she was actually very shocked because she saw her neighbor Martin dragging in a woman on her hair into the kitchen, and she could just see it. She was just amazed with, oh my God, this is my neighbor Martin, my sweet neighbor Martin. What is he doing with this woman? What's happening here? And Julia is not there? Oh, wow. Rose was in total shock of what was going on with the neighbor, because this side of Martin she'd never seen before. And so she heard screams coming from the house. And I mean, there was no way that Martin could have seen Rose seeing this from her side window and being in shock and seeing what he was doing. He was really molesting her and sexually abusing her, and it was just terrible for Rose to watch this. And so she closed the windows, and she said, I have to take action. What is going on? I have to investigate. What is going on in the world? This cannot be normal. And so she started to go on the internet and start to investigate and find out what was going on. And so she found more like-minded people that were telling about their neighborhoods, and that not everything seems as it looked like. And she also found out that many more people were on this internet connecting with her, more like-minded people, that they also were not supposed to say anything about it because the neighbors would make them, their life so hard and tough for them. They were afraid to speak out. And so there were many certain cases that Rose found out around the world. And she had to do something. And first of all, she wants to be very truthful. And so when Julia came back from a trip in Africa, she had to tell her neighbor friend that she saw her husband dragging in this woman and raping her. Wow, Rose was really brave to tell her this. But she didn't expect Julia to respond the way that she did. And she was shouting at Rose. She was saying, "You're really a liar. How can you say this? How can you do that? You're conspiracy thinking. You're really making this all up. Because my husband is really truthful and very beautiful and blah, 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 blah." And so Rose, she just went to her house and didn't speak to Julia anymore. She went on the internet and figured out that there are more people like this. She spoke out her truth on the internet and many people were responding. "Oh yes," they're saying, "I have this sort of situation too in my neighborhood and I don't know how to speak up because there were so many situations that people were sharing on the internet." And they were saying even cases of people being murdered in their gardens and their neighbors' gardens, and they could just see it and they would bury them alive. And children were also used and they could not speak up because they were very amazed because even the police was involved. And so how could they speak up to anyone if the police was even involved? They could see the police standing outdoors, taking guard of everything while everything was happening. And so there were many more neighbors that Rose was like-minded with. And they all got together and they came in groups and started to talk to each other and started to say, "We have to do something about this. This is outrageous. This is just really going crazy." And so what happened in the street was Martin was feeling that his wife and Rose were making arguments, and so he decided to make Rose's life very difficult. And so he started to place very many lies about Rose and her divine partner into the street and into the neighborhoods, and everybody was pointing out at Rose and Phoenix that look, they're spreading lies and they're all doing this and doing that. And so if you can't convince people, confuse them. So many more people were so confused, and the people in the street, they just followed that and they thought that was the truth. But the people that were daring enough, like Rose and Phoenix, they were speaking the truth in other circles. And the people in the street, they didn't understand. They were so scared of something would happen, and they were made scared. And they watched television and they watched about crazy people in the street telling crazy stories and conspiracy theories, and they made them all ridiculous. And the people in the street, they believed it because, of course, that is what they were told in the news. So they would believe the news, right? The governments were talking about this. They were talking about this beautiful collection of children that they're brought up for adoption. And, so everything on the TV looked so beautiful and divine. And of course, the whole neighborhood believed this story. But people like Rose and Phoenix were rising from their ashes, and their heart space was rising. And they wanted to come with many more people online. And they grew so big. And they started to meditate and feel into this and use their inner powers of love and light. Started to spread this around the world. And there was just one goal of raising the consciousness and awaken people that the truth was in their heart, and they could follow the heart to know what is the true story. And so many people were speaking up the truth, talking about their neighbors, talking about their work situations. The same like in the neighbor situation. We have these situations at work. Like your boss is doing certain things and you're doing everything for your boss, and he gives you more and more money and more status, and you come on TV and you're becoming such a celebrity, and your ego is very high evolved, and it just brings people like Julia and Martin up in a higher level of very confusing energy because it had to do with power and money and nothing to do with love and devotion and compassion. And so Rose and Phoenix started to come with more and more people online. They started to bring gatherings and speaking out their truth through the internet. And they started to talk about how these dark energies on earth were manipulating the people and brainwashing and hypnotizing the people in the street to believe that there was only one way out, and that is for this terrible disease of consciousness raising, of all that, they invented a vaccination for us to distract us from all that is really, really, really happening. And so they invented the COVID-19 injection. They started to inject it to some places and they started to spread it around the world. With that, they also activated the 5G, and that is microwaving your whole body. And so Rose and Phoenix were finding out about this, and they started to take action, and they started to spread the news that this was the combination that was given to the people in the street to believe that this is the solution. And now Rose and Phoenix were getting with so many more people, and consciousness was starting to open up, and some people in the street were like, well, so what's this vaccination about actually, you know? And so they started to investigate, and they started to wake up, and they started to investigate for themselves, and they started to feel that people like Rose and Phoenix are like, oh, well, but of course they dare to speak out their truth, and they dare to find themselves into another situation that is looking at the other situation. And so there was groups of people having different ways of feeling and thinking about this, and their different truth. And that is what is going on right now in the world. And so this is the story of Rose and Julia, how they are living a totally different life, a totally different perspective, and how we're all now to be asked to clean up your streets and to find ways to tell your truth and to bring it out. It wants to come out. It wants to speak. It's like Rose and Phoenix were finding so many people that were brave enough to find their truth and to speak it out on the internet and to make movies or commercial things like bringing people to their attention that there is love and light. And so the light spread it around the world. And eventually many places were found, like Julia and Martin's house. They were found and they were taken apart, and those energies were stopped to be used. And so this is the story about how the earth is now cleaning the neighborhoods, cleaning our lives, and be brave to tell your truth. Because all the stories together will give all the confirmations of the life that we thought we were living in a good way. And Rose, she was very happy with the truth coming out from many people around the world. And so it has been done, and so it is. This is the story. I'm inspiring you to look into your own story of your neighborhood, of the earth, the moment, to see where you're standing, and to always investigate, as people of the street, to investigate what is going on, and just see how this feels for you. And would you tell the truth? Then go ahead. Go and help the collective to raise the vibration so we can live this earth in a higher dimensional peace, love, and harmony state. That's what we're going for, where we all live as neighbors together in harmony and peace and love. Namaste. This was Esther D. Much love for you.